So you know the quote that says something along the lines of, you can't offer pearls to a swine? Something like that. Something about pearls to swine. You can't offer pearls or cast pearls or offer pearls. Did I say offer already? In other words, you can't give, attempt to give pearls to swine, meaning if somebody doesn't want your help, no matter what the situation is, and you've tried giving it to them and they won't take it, or they're bitter about taking your help or whatever, you have to let it go and let them fend for themselves. You can only extend yourself so much. You know what I mean? You can't offer help or assistance to somebody who doesn't appreciate. Well, they could appreciate it and still say no, but if they give you the attitude like, hey, I don't need your help, and who are you? And you know, Guy Finley told a story. I just heard it yesterday in one of his teachings where story of a fisherman who lived in a small village, had a very modest life, very simple life, and he would catch fish and catch just enough fish to sell, and then the rest, he could eat and live on what he sold with his family. Very basic life. Well, he went to this Irish pub, I guess, or whatever, one night with his buddy, just had a couple of beers or whatever, and he found out that there was a huge storm or a war. I think it was a war that broke out in the country that sold most of his fish, something like that, right? And of course he was upset about that, of course, probably had another beer because of that. But so then he walks out of the pub and he notices this guy all scraggly and, whatever, rolling on the ground, drunk, And he looks closely and he sees that the guy who's on the floor like that is one of the wealthiest people who actually makes his wealth off the fish that are being sold, or something along those lines. And the majority of the fish are from the country that just got bombarded with war or storm or whatever it was. I think it was a war. That makes more sense. But anyway, so I guess he got so upset about it, he got so drunk to drink his troubles away, and he plastered himself all over the floor. So this modest fisherman, attempts to help him, helps get him up. I don't want your help. Get out of here. And the guy knew who he was and said, you're just a lowly fisherman. What am I going to do? You'll never get to my level, and da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, he's having his own problems. And the guy tried again, and he still wouldn't take his help. And he basically, the drunk guy, was just being very derogatory to the fisherman. And the fisherman was like, look, I tried to help this guy. It's not happening. Goes back to, you can't offer pearls to a swine. So even though this guy that got drunk was financially, at the time anyway, of course he's going to lose some fortune now, but way above this modest fisherman, it was the fisherman who was at peace with his modest, simple life. I'm not saying that you need to not go after your dreams and goals and all that. All I'm saying is peace doesn't come from that. The wealthy dude who got drunk and it was such a fragile, what he had was held up in such a fragile way by with this, business, I guess he had, that he tied his whole identity into it, not realizing how fragile it was. And now that he realized it's all gone at this time, I guess he bounces back at some point. But the point is, he can't handle it, and he drinks the night away, right? And but he's not at peace. All the money in the world, all the fish in the world, all the countries selling his fish, or the money he gets from it, this guy is not going to find him peace. Meanwhile, the modest fisherman who just catches enough to sell and eat, and feed his family. That's the inner peace. But it goes beyond how much, what they're making. It's an inner thing that's always been there. So you could argue that the fisherman is 10 times wealthier than the entrepreneur that got drunk. The businessman who got drunk, because he's not handling it like that, right? And the drunkard saying, I don't need your help, and talking down to him like he's a superior and stuff, even in that state. Think about it. You're in a drunk state. You're in a humiliating state on the ground, and you're still acting all superior to this person who's trying to help you. Almost like a guardian angel trying to help you. And you won't take his help because you're a swine. You're acting like a swine. You're acting like a, piece of something. So you're on your own, kiddo. You're on your own. Good luck. Good luck laying in your own vomit. You know what I mean? After you throw it all up with all the drinking you did. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot offer pearls to a swine. And it shows you the people who tie their identity to temporary things, superficial things. I'm not saying that those things aren't important. All I'm saying is what you are is so much bigger than that. And the fisherman understood that. Matter of fact, with the fisherman's energy, if he attempted to do what this other guy was doing, he'd probably make even way more than what this guy was making. And he would be able to sustain it because he has the energy. He has the right attitude about it. He's not attached to it. He doesn't tie his identity to it, right? So, and another thing they'll say is, money only intensifies what you already are. So if you're a generous person, a giver, and you fall into a bunch of money, you will do more of that. But if you're a jerk and an ass and a piece of crap, it will, and then you get the money, it will exemplify that as well. It'll put it on steroids, so to speak, right? So, and if you're a swine, you're going to be an even bigger swine. So again, you can only help people so much. If they don't accept your help, you got to move on and understand that they're on their own journey and you tried and they said no. So, all right, don't be swines. No, I know you're not. And have a good one. Take care.